Juan Soto being called out for his comments about the way he's being pitched at this season compared to last season, and not having the best hitter in baseball batting behind him were completely taken out of context and blown up. I'm going to let you go first so we can debate this narrative since you're the baseball guy, but you know I'm protecting my guy, so go.
This quote by Juan Soto is one of the most ironic quotes of 2025.
All right.
Now, it's more about the who than the what. What he's saying is true. When you don't have Judge hitting behind you, you aren't going to see as many good pitches to hit, especially for a hitter whose game is predicated on taking pitches, getting on base, being a professional hitter, which really no one does a better job of than Soto.
Okay.
But coming from a guy who leaves a team because of the intangibles, the things that aren't as quantifiable for the Mets, can't really complain about the intangibles 15 games into a 15-year contract.
Why complaining? Why are you saying he's complaining if his numbers are somewhat the same, not down? It's not like he's going through some sort of
something
slump.
made him say it.
Because I feel as though he's trying to give people a look into his world.
But we all knew that.
But you don't know it. You're not hearing it from his mouth. You're hearing it from his mouth now, and not something that we think. Fans think. Fans try and be smarter than the athlete. They try and be smarter than the GM and the franchise. And this is this generational talent telling you guys, hey, this is what's different from the Mets as opposed to the Yankees last season. Nothing wrong with that.
Here's the most ironic part of it. When he signed with the Mets, he thought he was going to have either Brandon Nimmo, Starling Marte, or Mark Vientos hitting behind him.
Okay.
It turns out he has Pete Alonso hitting behind him. And not just Pete Alonso, but Pete Alonso, who's been one of the best hitters in the majors this year.
Yep.
He is playing at an all-world pace, similar to how he did in 2019. He's hitting like Judge right now. So you know what? If you're Pete Alonso and you read this quote from Soto, obviously Alonso isn't Aaron Judge, but Alonso's probably thinking, all right, you can put a little more respect to my name. I have an OPS over 1,000. I have an OPS over 1,000 so far this season. Yes, we know that you don't have Aaron Judge behind you. You're still getting some pitches to hit, and it's your job to do damage with those the same way that Judge only sees 1 to 2 pitches a game, and he does damage with them.
Why would the polar bear be in his emotions when you're saying he is benefiting from having Juan Soto hit in front of him? I'm not going to go up to you at your locker and
because
be like,
Soto said his numbers aren't the same because he has Judge behind him.
No, he said
doesn't have Judge behind him.
True or false? Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball.
True.
Or false? Bam. So what he said there, what he said there is
change
correct.
the question. Change the question.
You can't tell me.
Change the question.
What's the question?
Okay, how about this? Pete Alonso was hit like a top 5 hitter in baseball this year.
Come on,
this year.
Dude,
look at the numbers.
You can't move the goalposts.
No,
here
this
on
year.
This year.
15 games. 15 games, Pete Alonso is hit like a top 5 hitter in baseball.
Okay, so he is benefiting from having a generational talent like Juan Soto.
Soto didn't say that.
What he is saying. No, of course, you're picking and choosing what he said, and you're taking, and other fans are taking the context on how they want to take it. Nothing he said was to be disrespectful to his teammate. And if anything, no way Pete Alonso goes up to him in the locker room and, what's up with those comments, bro? I'm not the best hitter. He definitely thought it because of that. No, you're saying everybody out there knows that Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball. That's it.
Period.
So that's what he's saying. The period. No commas. No, you're putting the butt there with the comma.
No.
So Pete Alonso
in the first 3
benefiting
weeks of the season, Alonso has been amazing. So you can't talk about how you're not seeing as many good pitches to hit and stuff, even though that is true. Pitchers are more scared of Judge. Alonso's doing his part, and Soto's going to see good pitches to hit, even though his game is predicated on his eye. Soto should not be talking about the protection he has or doesn't have in the lineup at this juncture for 2 reasons. One, because Alonso's been great, and when he signed with the Mets, he didn't even think he'd have Alonso behind him. And B, this is 15 games into a 15-year contract, a long marriage. Don't talk about external circumstances when you're getting paid to be the guy.
Okay, we're talking 15 games into it, and we're saying Pete Alonso is a top 5 hitter.
No, he's just hitting like one.
Okay, he's just hitting like one.
Yep.
15 games into the season.
Marathon.
You got 162 games in the season, so this is just a small sample size. And for you to be considered to be in Judge's tier, and I'm no disrespect to Polar Bear Pete, but you don't have 15 games to be like, okay, this guy's the top hitter in baseball. If he continues
Soto was asked about the first 15 games.
And he gave you an honest answer on what he's seeing the first 15 games. He didn't throw anybody under the bus. He didn't point fingers. If anything, he's pointing the finger to himself, knowing that he needs to be better. He needs to be patient. When he struck out in that big money moment, the first game of the season, the Astros series, he didn't point. He took ownership for striking out and saying, I got a really great hitter behind me. I need to be patient and not go for the glory on that pitch. He's bigging up his boys. His energy has been infectious. Everybody in Queens is loving this guy and loving what the Mets are doing. They're in first place right now because of Juan Soto. This is absolutely blown out of proportion, Alex. Come on, you play baseball.
Totally. Bro. It is blown out of proportion. The Mets are off to a great start. All I said was it's ironic. It's ironic because Soto knew he wouldn't have Judge behind him. It's ironic because he thought he was going to have worse production behind him, and it turns out he's had amazing production behind him. And it's ironic because the Mets are playing well, and there's really no point for him to say this. We know that Aaron Judge is a better hitter than Alonso, but if you're Pete Alonso and you read that quote and you say, man, my OPS is over 1,000. Why is he complaining that he isn't seeing as many good pitches because he doesn't have Aaron Judge behind him? I wouldn't love that if I'm Alonso. On the scale of 1 to 10, is this nothing or is it something? It's a 3. It is blown out of proportion. But the fact that he felt the need to say that about his first 15 games, all we can do is take it for what it is, and I think it's just ironic. It's ironic.
It's going to be iconic if Polar Bear Pete continue to be on this tear and this heater that he's on, not just 15 games, 30 games, 130 games, going into the playoffs, and he's going to continue to benefit from it. That's right. I'm going to put you on the spot right here.
Yeah.
If we're back at Elon, and one of your teammates said that someone from Charleston Southern was the best hitter in the Big Sky Conference, which you guys were in back in the day. What would you go up to him and say? You would not have any sort of beef with him 15 games into the season.
Well, if I'm hitting like that guy in the Big Sky Conference, then maybe I wouldn't like it. If I was hitting like Alonso, maybe I wouldn't like that because Alonso has been great. And by the way, Soto's been really good too. On base percentage over 400. The Mets are 11-5. This is blown out of proportion. If you're Pete Alonso, probably wouldn't love that.
All right. But this was fun.
This was fun.
All right.